What's going on, good people? Welcome back to B Wayne Presents, sponsored by Promarketize. Don't just advertise, Promarketize. As always, I'm your host, B Wayne. I'm here today with Bridget. What's up, Bridget?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on? How are you, young lady?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well. Bridget, tell us your age and where you're located.
So I'm 51 and I am in Birmingham right now.
Alabama. Alabama
Yep,
has a lot of
Alabama.
history.
Yeah.
A lot of history. Is that where you're from, or is that just where you are?
It's just where I am right now. I'll be here for the next year and a half. I'm in school, so I'm here. I've lived in Huntsville since 1992. It's where my kids are. So
Mhm.
I don't know if I'll go back there after school. We'll see.
Can you share what you're taking in school?
Yeah.
What you were looking to do?
Yeah, so my undergraduate's in criminal justice, and I am currently working on my Juris Doctor. I'm a second year law student.
Very cool. What do you
Mhm.
what type of law would you like to practice?
So I practice family law right now as a paralegal.
Hmm.
Um, I've always thought that family law would be the direction. I also have an interest in criminal law. I worked as an advocate for a lot of years. So I think that somewhere in the mix between family and criminal. I don't know just yet. I still got a little time.
Unfortunately, a lot of times family law and criminal law tend to bleed together, don't they?
They very much so do. Yeah. The firm I work in, actually, one partner is a criminal defense attorney and the other is a divorce lawyer. So they do share clients often.
It's it's funny, but it's not funny. Like it's like we watch a lot of true crime stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like the more horrible the scene, it's like, oh, looks like that was a husband or a wife that did that. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of it's like, can you hate anybody more? It's I've never it's so you go from I'm
Yeah.
so in love with everything, everything about this person to
Yeah.
I hate this individual's guts, and it's
Yeah.
kind of well, let me go ahead.
Yeah.
What were you
No,
about to say?
I was going to say when you practice family law, you always see the bad ones. Like nobody gets a lawyer when they're amicably divorcing, right?
Right,
It's
right.
always a bad situation. So, and it's I mean, of course, criminal defense. I mean, that's probably one of the worst times of your life if you're going through something of that nature. So, um, yeah.
What side of that spectrum could you see yourself falling on? Would you practice defending uh accused individuals or
Yeah. So, I always, as a younger person, and prior to law school, even at my age, I always thought, oh, I'll never be able to defend a murderer, I'll never be able to defend a child predator, or I'll never be able to do that. But having gone now through, almost 2 full years of law school and understanding things that really didn't have an understanding of prior, I just absolutely believe that I would be a great defense lawyer. I think that everybody deserves an opportunity to have a fair defense. And I believe that there's a why behind everything. And that's my heart. I want to know the why, even though, you may go to prison, bud, but I'm going to try to get you the least amount of time I can. And we're going to try to get some help and resolve whatever it is that led you to this place. Um, you know, that's, that's, and not to, trail, but, or go off on a rabbit trail, but, and when I was doing my undergrad in criminal justice, I did my thesis on recidivism and how education plays a big role in recidivism. And that was just it's just kind of started the ball, so it's just kind of built, and we'll see where it goes.
judges actually utilize those that information to determine
Mhm.
during sentencing
So
the how
probation
edu-
office Yeah, probation officers do your sentencing reports, but they those things are considered, and um there's just a whole gamut of things that are considered in sentencing. But matter of fact, that's what I'm studying right now. When we get done, I'm going to read 8 more cases before my class on Tuesday and brief them all.
we know how we're all familiar, like law school, how there's a lot of information. So I
Yeah,
really
it's a lot.
appreciate your time and
Yeah.
participation. I used to have this mental exercise watching those shows, like whatever the guy or girl did, and in my mind, I'm like, all right, how would I spend this if I was their attorney? How would I get them off?
Yeah.
And I think on one hand, it's like you have the attorneys who are just like, I'm gonna make $1 and it is what it is. And then on the other hand, the other side, you have people who are like, like you said, everybody deserves to be defended, and that's true.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um
mean, and just to your point, most people think that, being a lawyer is about being in the courtroom. Being in a courtroom is about this much of being a lawyer. The real work happens, in that office. So yeah, the
Reading
research, just the
paperwork.
research.
Yeah.
Well, the research and knowing the law to back up your, to back up your defense. You've got to prove, and you've got to show the law behind it and past cases, and you have to cite those things. And people don't see that on Perry Mason. You know what I'm saying? So there's just a lot more to it than even what I realized, in it, having even been in the judicial system for years. But criminal defense, anyway, that's
Last, I'm
it's a lot.
one more
Yeah,
question about, because I've always been interested in law. Last question, and then we'll move on.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How important is it? Like, okay, there's a case history of this particular situation
Hmm.
that, versus, okay, this is setting a precedent for something that
Hmm.
we really haven't seen. Is it pretty much, if I can quote these cases, if I can cite these cases that have occurred and it went a certain way, am I pretty much, hey, this is, it's going to go that in that direction? How valuable is
Yeah,
that information when
yeah.
determining how a case unfolds?
So when you're looking at cases, case law is established, right? And so Supreme Court decisions, your appellate court decisions, um, a Supreme Court decision is a binding rule, right? So you may have, it may be, let's say we're in Alabama, but Kansas, their Supreme Court, the state of Kansas Supreme Court, had a similar case, but maybe Alabama hasn't had a case like that. So I may say, well, in Kansas, their Supreme Court, this is how they ruled. So this is why you should rule this way too, Judge, because we don't have anything in Alabama, but because they did it there, right? So those things play a part. But the way the Supreme Court, rules on cases is how other cases are decided. I mean, that's how it goes. Um, and that's the common law. Of course, you have laws and precedents, and you have statutes that we follow, but judges are following what has happened in the past. And when you talk about setting a new precedent, that's how you do it. You look at other places who have ruled that way, or have, had different outcomes, and than what maybe our state has, and you try to persuade the court to change their mind.
You enjoy what you do?
Can you tell?
I can.
Yeah.
How has gonna do a little segue now.
Okay.
How have you been dating for very long? How long have you been single? Let's do that first.
Yeah. Yeah. Which time? I've been single for almost a year now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually not that long. I've been single much longer. But that's
Yeah.
another, this isn't about me. So,
It is not about
in
you.
this year you've been single. What has
Mhm.
dating been like for you?
Horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, horrible.
What is some of the major impediments, issues,
Yeah.
disappointments in the dating process?
So I think that, I was not single for like 23 years. So um I haven't dated in a really, really long time. My kids are all, they were little when I dated before. My kids are all grown now. Um I have
So you were
grandchildren.
just to clarify, so you were
Mm.
married for 23 years, or even common law, or what?
Yeah. So yes. I was married for that long. Yeah.
Okay.
I was married to somebody and then got a divorce and met somebody right after, way,
Hmm.
way too early. So first husband, 10 years, second husband, 13, 23. I really didn't date anybody between the two. Yeah.
That actually doesn't sound. I don't know what you went through in the marriages, but that doesn't sound ridiculous or horrible or even bad. I mean, it just they didn't work out. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So
they didn't.
okay,
Mhm.
decent guys, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I think that, first guy just, it was a season in my life where I grew into a different place. And for me, my faith, I'm very much connected to my faith, and that was just not something where we were in alignment. And it just ran its course where it just was, it just wasn't working anymore. And really and truly, the second marriage, that's kind of what happened. He decided he didn't want to go to church anymore, and that's a big thing for me. And it's kind of interesting that my church where I go, we've been talking about the Book of Solomon. And today I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is good. It was all about, relationships and the things that it takes to really have a true relationship, to really have um, a lasting marriage or whatever it is that you want. Some people don't want to be married. That's fine. But the thing that I took away from it, the biggest thing was it's a daily choice. And I don't think that society tells us that. I think that society tells us it's this feeling and this ooey gooey thing. And it's just not those things. And, when you've been married for as long as I was, um, it's really hard to understand that not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets that. And yeah, it's just been a different world, at 51 versus, you know, late
I
20s,
can't.
early
I
30s. I mean, it's just,
I can't even imagine.
yeah.
I've been like I said, I've been single for a long time, so I've been able to kind of see the progression.
Hmm.
And for someone that's just stepping in, just like coming out of a time capsule. And I mean, you might as well be stepping into, from the 80s
Hey, you're
or
making me
something,
feel
right?
even older.
No, it's not about your age because we're around
No,
the
I
same
get it.
age. It's
Yeah.
just about everything that has happened in the last 20 years
Yeah.
and how fast things have started moving.
Yeah. And
Um,
technology. I mean, dating apps. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but it's like I just can't. I mean, it's
I,
just like it's too
I was
much.
I was dating I was using apps for dating like Black Planet. You probably don't even know what that is. Back when you remember
Why you
MySpace?
think I don't?
I'm
Yes.
okay, okay,
I'm
okay.
just kidding.
All right. So I saw it, I saw everything coming and I've tried them all. And that's actually a part of the reason why I've started this because I've utilized them and I got comfortable and I saw the pros and cons and I've heard the different stories from men and women. And so I felt like, maybe there was something that I could do to enhance the experience a bit, or at least make it a little less traumatizing.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about when you're not
Budget.
practicing law, when you're not researching and billing people $3,000 an hour. I'm kidding. 'Cause
I ain't doing
um
that yet.
what do
Still
you what
working
do
on
you
that.
what do you do for fun? What do you do in your spare time? What makes you happy?
Yeah. So, when I had spare time, I used to skydive when I was younger. That was a lot of fun. I have over 200 skydives.
Oh wow,
So,
you're a trooper. You're a
well,
professional.
yeah, I was. Yeah. So
Very dope.
I have a little bit of a risk taker spirit, I guess, you know. So right now I don't even know, my brain can't even like go that far back. Like, what do I do for fun? Um, I take
Let
myself
me
to
ask this.
dinner. Does that count?
Let me ask you this. Yeah, absolutely, because I love to eat. Let me ask you
I
this
did
real quick.
it.
Think
Yeah.
think back to your first time.
Mm,
It was a tandem the first time,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Mhm.
How did it feel? What was it like?
February the 9th, it was cold as hell. I mean, it was so effing cold. And, I was in this little Cessna. I don't know if you know what, your planes, but it's a little bitty plane, like room for two people in the pilot, little, right? And you're hooked up to this dude, you can't see him. And I'm terrified of heights, right? Terrified of heights. And it's cold and then it's cloudy. Well, I don't understand fully what that means at this point, right? I don't really fully understand what cloud cover means when you're a skydiver. But I'm going to trust this guy who I'm attached to that he does know. So we get up there and we climb to the door. A lot of people say, why don't you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Well, first of all, this was not a perfectly good airplane. And they open the door. That's always the answer, right? So we climb up, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm about to die. What have I done? Can I back out now? And you start, and you're like, 1, 2, 3, and you're out the plane in this cold air. When I don't know if you have children or you've got nieces, nephews, whatever. Have you ever blown into the face of a baby, like, and the
Hmm.
baby will go, it's exactly what it
Hmm.
felt like. It's exactly what it felt like. I was at like, so 10,000 feet, generally where you're going. Well, there was so much cloud cover. We got about 7 maybe that day. Well, in a
Mm.
tandem, when you go out before the drogue releases, you've got two bodies and you're falling way faster, right? Your relative speed is two people instead of one. So you're out the door, the drogue, you have like maybe 8 seconds of free fall, at that point. But I didn't breathe for the entire time. And that's what it felt like. And so we got on the ground and I'm like, I gotta do that again. It was like, ah. I mean, it
Like
just
the
adrenaline was just,
adrenaline rush.
oh, it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was
And
absolutely
you've
unbelievable.
been 199 more times.
I think I'd have to look at my logbook, but I think I'm at like 212, maybe something like that. I know
That is
210.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is
I actually
unbelievable.
went through the program, became, got licensed. Um, at that time, um, I qualified for what's called a D license, which is, the highest you can go. And then I also was certified as a coaching instructor. Um, and then I saw a really good friend get really hurt in front of
Mm.
me, and it scared me. I made one jump after that, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Yeah.
How's your friend doing?
It's been about 12, 15 years now. He'll never be the same. Had a traumatic brain injury. Um, so he's living life. He's having a good life. It's just not the same life.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thanks.
Are you ever going to do it again?
No.
No. Okay.
I'll go
Okay.
watch. I'll go watch. I
Uh,
like it. I love the adrenaline. But yeah, no. Not at this point in life.
reminds me of Point Break. You see in Point Break?
Of course I have.
Of course you have. Let's talk. Speaking of super cool guys like the ones
Uh,
in Point Break,
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about your ideal dude. Who is your ideal guy at this point?
Oh man, I don't even know that. Um, he's tall, dark, and handsome. Does that count? Um, somebody that loves the Lord that has, I mean, that's an absolutely deal breaker. You have to believe in Jesus, and have some sort of faith. I don't really care how you practice that or what that looks like. But that's absolutely a non-negotiable for me. Um, and someone who, values education. That's important. I was 43 when I went back to school and finished my undergrad. I'm 51 in college, doing my JD. I've mentored a lot of young women into pursuing their education. Matter of fact, one of my mentees, well, two of my mentees now have actually graduated from law school themselves before me and passed the bar before me, so I'm like, well, I better get my some gear here. Because
But they
I
were
ain't.
younger though, so I imagine
No,
it was a little
one of them
no.
was younger, one of them was not. One of them, I was a victim advocate for 10 years for a domestic violence shelter. Um, and she was one of my clients, and she wanted to go to law school, and she made it happen.
That's
Yeah,
impressive
it
for
was
both of you.
incredible and
For
very
both of you.
impressive. Thank you. But yeah, so somebody that values education, somebody who's kind of like me, I love Jesus. I cuss a little, drink a little, you know, who doesn't take life so seriously that there's a lot of just, rules. I believe in grace and mercy, and that guy has to believe that too. And someone who's a protector and values me, and someone I can value, that has morals, character, integrity, all those beautiful things.
Is he an alpha?
Absolutely.
Are you an alpha?
At work, I'm a boss all day.
So
When
that means when you're home,
I
that's the
want to
last thing you want
be
to be.
the last thing I want to be. I want to be in
Yeah.
my feminine. I want to be able to, yeah, I want to be able to give that part of me to one person. And that's one of the things in my marriages that I didn't get to do. I always had to be on.
Mm.
And I've worked on me. I've done my work, and that's the thing. That guy, he has to have his work done because I'm not doing your shit. That's yours, not mine. And you're responsible for you. I'm responsible for me. And we're on the same team, and we have to support each other through that. So I think that, yeah, he's definitely an alpha and definitely able to make me feel safe. I,
What's one of the more interesting dating experiences you've had since you started dating again this past year?
how do you mean interesting? Like,
Positive, negative, just it
mm,
stands out in your mind. It's not just a typical, not status quo, something, anything interesting go down?
so
Interesting guys or
yeah, so in this season, when I was younger, I have never really dated men of color. Um, my ex-husband's white guys. I have since dated black men. So that has been very interesting, to just in general, the differences in culture, the differences in the approach to even dating is different in a lot of ways. Um, yeah, so I think that not particularly one stands out necessarily. I've had one really bad experience where I, you know, really kind of the first guy, well, the only person that I've dated, I guess, um, if you want to call like seeing somebody a few times, like for a month dating, um, it just didn't end well. It just didn't end well. It was just a disaster. It was just a disaster. But when you're not in alignment, right, it's going to be. And so I think that me knowing who I am more so ever than ever before in my life, having done a lot of work on me, um, I'm just content right now. I love me. And if he comes along, that's great. But if he doesn't, I'm okay with that too.
that dude wasn't a brother, was he?
He was.
Damn it. Damn it.
Yeah.
Set a bad example for the rest of us. What's something that surprised you the most that you didn't know about black men that you realized once you started decided that you wanted to date black men? What's something that
Um,
surprised you the most?
that they, huh, I think probably I knew this because I have a lot of black female friends, but the level of love and commitment and protection that a black man has versus what a white man does, like how that comes across is is vastly different. I mean, the family connection is, at least with the men I've met, the family connection and the commitment is just it's the whole family. Um that's been refreshing because I have a very small family. I'm an only child, and so it's just nice to see because my cousins and things like that are really important to me, right? Because I don't have siblings. And I have found that at least the black men that I've, went out with, they have extended family. They have family reunions. They get together, they eat together, it's been really nice to just, see that and know that it exists because when you're an only child and I've already lost my dad, of course I have children, but it's just nice to know that maybe you can have a really nice extended family with somebody else.
So even though you had a really bad experience with a brother, are you still open to dating men of color going forward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah.
Are you never going back, as they
I'm
say?
never going back. I wasn't gonna say it because it's so cliche, but I'm never going back. I can't. I mean, it's just different. It's so different. I mean, black men are just way more passionate. And I don't mean that in a necessarily in a sexual way, just passionate. Like they're just passionate. And yeah, it's refreshing. I like that.
Two things, and I'll get you out of here. And you've really been generous. I know you have to get back to your studies. Two more things. So one, what would you say to um, non-African American, non-Black women, especially white women, who are
Mm.
curious about dating Black men, who have kind of thought about dating Black men, but they're kind of hesitant because they got that racist mom or that racist dad, or because of what the neighbors may say, or whatever. What would you say to them, women who, good women who are looking for a good man and are
Mhm.
interested in possibly dating Black men? What would you say?
Mhm. Understand that you may have backlash. I mean, you may have friends that you lose that may not understand. Um, I've been very fortunate that I've not experienced that. And I really don't give a flying fuck if I did. I mean, it is what it is. I, I'm at an age, and I hope that I can inspire women who maybe are younger than me or haven't, you know, been able to shake off the stereotypes or the judgmental things or the even unconscious biases that they may or may, that they have. That I can inspire them to just like, this is your life. You get one chance. And if you find yourself attracted to another human being that is, then go for it. I mean, just go for it. If you have that attraction and it's mutual and you want to explore that, I mean, the rest will work out. And the haters are going to hate. It don't matter. I mean, they're going to hate. Haters going to hate. And I mean, just follow follow that draw. I think that we're drawn to one another. And if the chemistry's there, if the connection is there, explore it, go for it.
Now, I want everybody to understand, and not that Bridget needs me to speak for her. Not in any point in time are we saying that Black men are better than
Oh,
or
no, no, no,
less
no.
than. We're not saying that every white woman should
Mm-mm.
date a Black man. We're not saying that Black men don't do dumb shit like every other race of men. We all do dumb shit, and
Yeah, you
in every
do.
race,
Yeah,
we
you
got good,
do.
positive, and
Yeah,
negative. And so we're
yeah.
not. This is not a race hate type
No, no,
thing.
no,
It's
no,
all
no.
it's all love. We're just saying
Yeah,
just explore options.
yeah,
And to some of the white guys out there that are interested possibly in dating some sister girls, we got some sister
yeah,
girls over here that might be interested. Have at
yeah.
it. We
Yeah,
are
I have
generous.
my cousin is, yeah, I've got friends that date white guys, married to white guys. It's just, I think that we're all humans and it doesn't matter, but there are definitely cultural differences. And for me, I enjoy the cultural difference. And so if that's for you, great. If it's not, that's okay too. I think that we're just all human beings and color is, I mean, it's really more cultural than it is anything. And there are great white guys. I was married to, um so it's, and there's, there's good and bad in all humans. It doesn't matter what your color is.
But
It
don't limit yourself. Don't be
but don't
afraid to
limit.
go after something, and don't limit
Yeah.
yourself, especially based on something as inconsequential as race or
Yeah. And
ethnicity can
it's
be.
freaking 2025 for God's sake. I mean,
Get
we're
with the
all on
times.
dating apps and
Right.
like so just get rid of the whatever society tries to tell us or whatever and
Because
just
they're gonna talk about you anyway. So you might as
they
well be
gonna
happy.
talk. Haters gonna hate.
Two more. I
Haters
know I
gonna
said
hate.
one more, but I
All
want
right,
to bring
go.
something two more, I promise, and that's it.
Okay.
So real quick, and this is going to be a little bit more of a somber tone. You brought up
Mm,
DV earlier, and
mm.
I'm an advocate for victims of DV and SA. And what would you want to say to the young ladies? And I know some men out there that have experienced it as well. So what would you want to say to anybody who has gone through and experienced or is currently experiencing SA or DV? Advice, insight, direction, guidance? What would you want to put out there for them?
Yeah, talk to somebody. It's not okay what you're experiencing, what you're going through. It's not okay. Tell somebody. Tell somebody that when it's safe. Um, if you're going to try to leave, have a good plan because that's the very most dangerous time for you. I was a victim of childhood domestic violence and adult domestic violence. I'm also a sexual assault victim. Um, there's a lot of shit that comes with that. There's a lot of stuff in your head. There are helplines. And I see you looking, so I'm guessing that maybe you're searching for an 800 number. Um, call that number. There are shelters out there. There are programs. The biggest reason people say, why don't you just leave? Well, let me tell you real quick in 2 minutes why she don't leave. She doesn't leave because who's going to pay her bills? Who's going to take care of her children? Who's going to how's she going to have a car? How's she going to pay the car payment? How's she going to pay rent? Because he helps her do that. Or maybe he takes care of the kids while she goes out and earns the living. There is a reason why she doesn't leave, and that is exactly it. So if that is you and you're afraid to leave, there are shelters, there are programs out there that can help you with childcare, that can help you with rent. And that's what I did at Safe Place, safeplace.org. It's, it's a shelter in North Alabama. They do have a website, but if you can't get there, that website can lead you and take you to a shelter in your area because they're all over the country. Every state, every county in every state is represented by a DV shelter in this country. So there are definitely programs that can help you get out. Just be sure to do it safely, right? Safety planning is key. But it's not okay. And in the South, we always hear a lot about, well, he's my husband, I'm supposed to stay. The church says, blah, blah, blah. So this is my answer to that. Christ didn't hurt his bride. He didn't hit her, he didn't manipulate her. And the person you're with shouldn't do that either, man or woman. And it's not cool.
One of the differences between religion and spirituality. Jesus does not want somebody going upside your head. So whatever pastor, preacher, minister, evangelist, teacher, prophet got you thinking that you're supposed to stay with a husband who is going upside your head or raping you because you can obviously be raped even though you're a wife, that's not
Mm-hmm.
okay. And you can leave. And I don't care what they say. Like
Yeah.
Jesus is
They
gonna sit there, look
probably,
at you like you need to go. Like, what are you doing? You need to
yeah.
get up out of there. And if they're telling you that you need to stay, then they're telling you wrong. You need to get up out of there because they can wind up killing you.
Well, I mean, you think about him in the temple and what they were doing in the temple, they were sinning, that he was angry with that, right? He got angry. He don't want you to stay in something, he wasn't going to stay. I mean, yeah, the biggest thing is to absolutely do it safely. Yeah. I mean, I've lost clients, and it's not fun when you get that call that person you really cared about and you've talked with time after time and they're not there anymore because he's killed her. um don't be that person. Get some help, go somewhere, go to a shelter. There is help out there.
Not to mention, like you brought up earlier, why don't they leave? If I'm not mistaken, a woman is more likely to be hurt in the process of leaving
It's
or
the very
get
most, yeah, leaving is the very most dangerous time. It is the very most dangerous time because what happens is domestic violence, a lot of people think it's about just hitting you. It's not, it's about control. And one person, whoever is the aggressor in the relationship's desire and belief that they have the right to control you. A lot of times I hear it said like he felt like he was my daddy, right? So because when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're equal, right? We don't have a subordinate relationship. We have that with our children, and that's appropriate. It's not appropriate in relationships. One is not subordinate to the other. We're equals, we're a team, right? And so when that dynamic changes from this and you begin to try to make it more equal by leaving, and doing something that he doesn't want you to do, then his behavior or her, because it could be either or. I've had male victims and female victims, but because you are now resisting his control that he has had or she has had, and I just say he because it just, you know, statistics say that's generally who an aggressor, you know, who, and there's more about that. But anyway, you know, so yeah, I mean, his behavior, that aggressor's behavior is going to heighten because now what I was doing to keep you under my control is not working and you're going to leave. So I'm going to escalate it to the next level. And a lot of times, maybe he's never hit you, but just come at you and you leave. That's the time that's going to happen. But I will absolutely 1000% tell you, if you don't leave, he will kill you.
he's not going to change. And some of y'all sitting around, he'll have you thinking that it's your fault, that he's hitting on you, that you did something wrong because maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you were unfaithful, or maybe you did something inappropriate, so to say, or maybe that's just your mentality that, you know, where when he found you from something that you dealt with in childhood. You don't deserve to be hit on or beat on. You don't deserve to be disrespected or abused verbally, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually,
Psychologically,
or
religious,
financially. And yes,
financially,
ma'am.
all of it.
You need to get up out of there. You heard the lady said he will mess around and kill you. You need to get up out of there before it's too late. The National Domestic Hotline number, 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. I'll probably have it down in the description box. And find there's also they can probably direct you to um, a local institution that can
Yeah.
help you, and local organization. Here in Rock Hill is Safe Passage. If you're in South Carolina near Rock Hill, they can help you there as well.
Yeah. And don't be thrown off. A lot of people are thrown off by the word shelter. Don't be thrown off by that. Shelter, yeah, there are definitely shelters that have a place to house you, but there's so much more. Most of most of your shelters have out um outside resources. They have programs where you don't even have to necessarily come into the shelter to receive assistance from some of their programs, and they can help get you and transition you into housing and help with rent and help with legal fees. And there's so much, and that is one of the things that I mean, it's the why behind my law school. I'll never forget being 12 and looking at my mom saying, "I want to help women like you someday." So, you know, yeah, I want to do great things as a lawyer and I want to help people, but those are the people that I really, really, that's my why.
Last thing, and it may be a bit redundant after what we just discussed. However, if there was one thing that you would want people to know about you,
Mm,
something that's very important to you, that means the most to you about your purpose or who you are as a person, or
mhm,
last words that you would want to tell society, men, women, everybody, whomever,
mm.
pertaining to you and what you're about, what would it be?
So I think I'll just say what my life purpose. I, you know, wrote it down through some of my counseling, and you know, my heart is to just use my God-given gifts and talents to serve people. It's my heart. And you know, God's given me a lot of talents and abilities to be able to do that. And I want everyone else to understand their purpose, to find their purpose, get connected in whatever faith, that is right for you, and seek out your purpose and live it. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what your circumstances have been. You have a purpose. If life is inside you, you have a purpose, and it's not too late to live it out. Don't wake up and say, man, I wish I would have. Just go do it. Be the change that you want to see. Be the change.
Nike check sign. Just do it. You heard it. You heard it from the lady herself. If you want to get in contact, you can talk to Bridget. You can comment in the comments section. You can direct message her through me. Keep everything respectful. She's a lady. She deserves respect, and I won't tolerate anything less. Bridget, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.